Good, good. Hi, and welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're in. We're very happy that you took some time to join us today. My name is Dr. Michael DePalma. I'm the program director, and I'm also a PA. And we're here to talk about the Master of Science in Biomedical Science program. So we're happy you took some time to be with us today. Also with us is Sarah Amini Rod. She is the program manager for the Master of Science and Biomedical Science program. So if you are looking at the application process, you will probably receive a hello message from Sarah somewhere along the way. Another name that may be familiar at some point in the future is Joe Kopelman. He's the enrollment counselor for the online admissions. And if you've submitted any requests for more information, you might have received a welcome email from Joe. And I just like to mention his name because he's very instrumental in our program as well. So without further ado, let's talk about the program. As I mentioned, I'm a PA, and we initially developed this program with the intent of helping students prepare better for PA school. After we had a few successful cycles, we realized there was a good, strong affiliation with the dental program in Arizona. And since much of our curriculum is the same, we are now looking to expand a concentration in dental studies to help prepare you for dental school. So those of you that are here for PA, we'll talk more about that. Those here for dental, we're just building that program now and have that ready to go in July, which will be our next cohort. So I kind of mentioned that to start off that way by saying AT-Still University is a very broad healthcare-centered university. We offer a lot of programs in healthcare disciplines, multiple to healthcare disciplines, osteopathic medicine, obviously, dentistry, as well as physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech language pathology, physician assistant, multiple campuses around the country. There's three main presence campuses in Kirksville, Missouri, in Mesa, Arizona, and in California. They have a PA program. But really with our distance sites, we have essentially over 100 different locations around the country. So I really just kind of throw this up here to help you understand the type of university. And that leads us into the mission of the university. And I really like to spend a little time talking about the mission because it's the mission of our program and it should really align with your mission as a student and what you're looking for in seeking that next level of education. So, AT-Still University is really desired to find and help train highly competent professionals in healthcare. We developed this program as a stepping stone to get to that point because we're finding there are a lot of students out there who are trying to get into PA or dentistry, are falling a little short of what their application requirements are. And a program like this can help build that confidence, help prepare you better, help build the confidence in the program, taking a chance on a student based on academics, based on another year of maturity, based on a number of different things. So, that's our mission and goal. The osteopathic heritage is a whole person healthcare. So we look at that in terms of how we select our candidates as well. We don't just look at GPA as a grade. We look at the whole person. What else have you done? And we'll talk about some things as an applicant as we go through the talk today. And really the mission of the university is to focus on diversity and underserved populations. And that, again, should really think about your mission and what you're looking for in a school. I always say this, when you're interviewing in programs, you're interviewing the program just as much as they're interviewing you. So for you to succeed academically, you should find a program that has a similar mission or to your interest or your goals, and that'll really help you to maximize your ability to succeed. Okay, so enough about that. Let's get into the program itself. It's a Master of Science and Biomedical Science program that completes 45 credit hours in 9 months. If that sounds rather aggressive, it is. It is by design. 28 of those credits are in sciences. So it was established that way to help boost the overall and science GPAs. It was also compressed so we could help mimic what you can expect in post-professional education, PA school and dental school. You're not uncommon that you're taking 2-3 exams a week. You could have a practical, you may have a paper due, you may have lab due at the same time in the same week, and you're trying to balance a number of different things. And we compressed our program not only for you to, as you can see on the bottom, be able to improve your academic performance, but to be able to demonstrate to the programs that you're capable of handling such a heavy course load and succeeding in that. That helps to prepare you for the application. That also helps to prepare you for success once you're in school, PA or dental school, so that you can really focus on succeeding. A quick note about PA schools. There are 316 PA programs. And the reason why I put this in here is really to see the competition. Dental school applications, very similar at this point. Our affiliation is with the Arizona campus of the dental program. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about competition for the dental sites. It's really competition for the Arizona campus sites. But you can see, at least from PA education and dentistry, is pretty similar with the number of applications that they receive and their acceptance rate, that about 2/3 of the applicants are not getting accepted to PA school. So what's happening to those 2/3? What can they do? If you've applied to PA or dental school in the past and you haven't been successful at getting in, you're here to learn about another step that you can take. And this is what, when I was on an admissions committee, we saw repeat applicants every year. And the first question I would ask, what have you done since last year to improve your application? A program like this can certainly help that. Other things in coursework, other things in healthcare exposure, and we'll talk about a few of those coming up as well. So when we look at the number of PA programs that we're seeing, the number of programs continues to increase, but so does the number of applicants. And dentistry is the same field where the programs may not be increasing at the same pace, but you can see that the number of acceptance is not quite as high as the number of applicants. So if you map this out and average it out, we're seeing an average of about 1,000 applications, an increase of 1,000 applications a year. The number of matriculants is only about 750 per year. So even though the applications are going up, the number of matriculants is going up, but not as much as the number of applicants. So that equates to more competition for programs that are looking to find qualified applicants, which is why some of the programs may not be willing to quite feel comfortable taking a chance on an applicant who has a little bit lower of a GPA. They just need a little more confidence that they are capable of getting through the program. When we look at our PA school application data, about 1/3 of the students, a little less than 1/3, have previously applied. So these are repeat, and before they get accepted, they're applying for 2 years. And if you're kind of seeing the same trend as a dental applicant, you're applying multiple times before you're getting into PA school. And I really just wanted to show you this, that with about 1/3 of the students getting accepted, that means a number of them are applying 2 and 3 times. So taking a program or taking something educational wise to improve your GPA, your ability to succeed, will hopefully help in that regard. From the education standpoint, I kind of put the PA school academic performance in there because if you get into PA or dental school, you want to be able to succeed. And that very bottom statistic on deceleration, what deceleration is, if you're struggling in an area, and if you're doing a systems-based program where, say, you're struggling with physiology, and you have to repeat that because you weren't successful at doing that. Now you're having to take a course over again while you're still trying to learn new material. So that's a bit of a challenge when you're having to kind of do double time there. From a university standpoint, that's a lot of resources. So that's why if students are not academically prepared, they're looking for ways to select their candidates so that they don't have to expend as much in the way of resources remediating them. That's considered a short-term deceleration. A long-term deceleration is if you have to repeat an entire year or a half a year, something along those lines. That's where it gets costly to you. And that's what we're really trying to focus on, that 9%. And if you get into PA school or dental school, we want to make sure that you're going to succeed when you get there and not have to repeat a year and spend another year's worth of money and time trying to get towards graduation. Academic dismissals have been down. It was 5.4%. It went to 3.8%. And you'd think that's really good. But to me, that suggests that it's really focusing on the stringent guidelines that the admissions committees are putting on their applicants. they're making sure that they're selecting qualified applicants who are capable of getting into and getting through the school. So that's why being better prepared can really be to your advantage. So what makes me a competitive applicant? And this is a question you should be asking if you've been through the application process. You should be asking what makes me a better and more competitive. GPAs, we've all had that rough semester or two. Maybe you worked full time, maybe you went to school and you weren't quite prepared. We all had those courses that just we didn't do quite as well in. And a program like this can help improve GPAs, both science and overall. But it also helps to demonstrate that record of sustained academic success. And I use that phrase, and I'll say that phrase over and over again, because if you've tried to get into a post-professional program and you've taken one credit or one course over the summer, say you needed an anatomy, you took an anatomy course at a local community college, you did well, you got an A, that's great. That shows that you can succeed in taking one class. A lot of programs want to know, can you succeed just as well by taking 4 or 5 classes at the same time? And that's where that record of sustained academic success can really come into your advantage when you're applying to programs after completing our program. Another area that our program does help with, in addition, those top 3 bullets or how our program focuses, is the personal statement. So we do help with writing the personal statement. We in our capstone course, we help focus on kind of saying the buzzwords and the things that kind of stand out on your personal statement. And we also do mock interviews as part of our capstone series to help you through the interview process. Some areas that we don't focus on as much in our program, but I think are still important at making you a competitive applicant, is healthcare experience. And I really encourage you to reach out to the program to find out what they consider to be quality healthcare experience. Scribing is it gives you a great experience. It's good exposure. You're basically following a practitioner in an office and transcribing what they're saying to the patient. You get to learn medical terminology, you get to see how the process works, but you're not actually involved with interaction with the patient. And that's where a lot of programs want to see quality interaction. So, becoming a dental hygienist, becoming an EMT, becoming a CNA, something in the medical field that gives you exposure with a patient that shows that you have quality contact hours. Mission-oriented activities, as I mentioned with AT still, they are focused on underserved, but mission-oriented activities doesn't just mean going on a mission trip to Haiti or Honduras. Those are great if you've done those, but mission in your community. What have you done as far as volunteerism? Have you helped at a local health fair? Any kind of blood pressure screenings, anything like that really shows that you're getting involved in your community can go a long way on an application. Research, teaching, things like that are important on applications if you've done them. I don't say go out and do research, but I have a lot of applicants who have participated in undergraduate research when they were getting their bachelor's degree. And it's a good conversation piece during the interview because I'll mention their research and we'll have something to kind of go over and talk about. But and finally, ask if you've applied to a program, a dental school or a PA school, and you haven't been successful at an offer, or maybe you have gotten waitlisted and were not offered a seat because there wasn't availability. Reach out to the program and ask them, what can I do? What would make me more competitive? Is it GPA? Because if your GPA is good, a program like ours is fine, but it doesn't give you the strengthening of your application that you might have needed if it would be in healthcare or some other area that was a little bit shorter when compared. So, the most important thing you could do is ask and get feedback from the program. So a little about our program. I keep saying that ability to demonstrate your academic ability, and that's kind of that sustained, I need a chance, I can prove that to you that I can do it. There are a lot of programs out there that are willing to overlook undergraduate GPAs, lower undergraduate GPAs, in lieu of more competitive or more demonstration of recent success. And I know from a fact, being a PA, that there are PA programs who no longer have the 3.0 minimum GPA to get into, and they look at you again as a whole candidate. And if you complete a master's program and do very well in it, they look at your last couple months or your last year of coursework and say, okay, this is what I'm able to complete. I didn't say this at the beginning, but I was a non-traditional PA student. I was in the Navy. I got out as a corpsman, and I went and became a microbiologist. I did that for 8 years before I went back to PA school. So for me being out of school for that length of period of time, it was an adjustment to get back into PA school. So if you're a non-traditional student, to get back into a professional program, this could be a nice transition. It was a great, I was working on a master's degree when I got accepted to PA school. So that was my demonstration. They didn't have a program like this at the time. I wish they did, but it was a great demonstration of what my kind of recent ability to succeed academically. So I will say with our program, it's online and it's asynchronous, which gives you the ability to complete the work at your pace. At your pace with confines. We do have some pretty strict deadlines, but that's to help you build your time management skills. So we have our blocks open on our weekly modules open on Monday, and then assignments are due either Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the block closes not block, but the module closes on Sunday. So you have the week. So this gives you the ability to look at the week at the beginning and kind of map out how you're going to best manage your time. One of the biggest questions we get is, can I work with this program? We have a lot of students, and I would say the majority of them, probably by like 95%, work either part-time or full-time. I will say, honestly, it depends on the type of student that you are, because it takes a lot to get through a rigorous program like this. Our students are succeeding at it, but there is an adjustment period. I would much rather have you figure out that adjustment period in our program than to get into PA or dental school and find out you're struggling because you weren't quite as prepared with time management skills. So, it can be done. It might be an adjustment for you, but we have a lot of students, and that's why we kind of went with the asynchronous option, because we want you to have the ability to complete your assignments before their due dates at your pace. Here is our curriculum as it stands. So right now we have general anatomy. We are currently developing the head and neck anatomy, which would be for our dental concentration students. We offer the rest of the courses will be with mixed cohorts. So 3 courses in physiology. We break that down by system. So you'll have focused systems per block. Biochemistry, very important building block for learning pharmacology. So we teach that early in the program. Microbiology, infectious diseases, you probably all had general micro as an undergraduate. And what we do is take that to the next level and start to talk about infectious disease and how that affects humans and throughout that process. And we kind of tie that in with an immunology course. 2 courses in pharmacology, as I mentioned, genetics, that kind of rounds out our upper level sciences. We tried to put a clinical spin on these so that you're starting to bridge what you learned from undergraduate between what you'll learn in your post-professional health education. We're not trying to teach you to be clinicians, but we're trying to teach you to start to think that way and think critically and develop those critical thinking skills that are essential as a clinician. We do have a number of social science courses as well that are very equally important. Medical writing, we're not looking to turn everyone into published authors, but it is important in accuracy in writing to help minimize medical errors, but also it helps to read and understand the medical literature that's out there, because that's the guidelines that we follow when we're practicing medicine. So very important that we have our medical writing course. Medical ethics and social and behavioral determinants of health, 2 very important courses that you will learn when you get to your post-professional phase. But you're trying to learn medicine at the same time you're learning about these. And we felt it was important to introduce them now, especially with social behavioral determinants, because you start to learn about the populations that you'll be treating. As a student, it was very frustrating to me to kind of learn about why blood pressure affects males tend to have worse and higher blood pressure, or hypertension, I should say. Why would they have that? And it didn't mean anything to me, because we were trying to learn about blood pressure and trying to learn how to treat blood pressure. And it didn't mean anything that I had to focus on that specific population a little bit more so. And African-American males were even more so. So as we learn about the populations that we treat, we can learn about how to better provide with care. And oral care, oral health care is essential in that with our communities, because some communities do and do not have access to oral health care. So our capstone series kind of rounds things out, hopefully gets you a little more excited about being a clinician. There's 3 capstone courses. The first teaches team-based care. So you learn about all members of the healthcare team and how we all work together to provide healthcare. The second, you'll get to interview either a PA or a dentist and find out a little bit more about the profession itself. I think this helps to prepare you for your interview, helps to prepare you for your application and the whole process that you would go through. And then that works kind of in conjunction with social behavioral determinants, because you'll start to develop a community health project where you can see an oral health or a PA kind of intervening in your community, and what kind of health education activity that you could do to help increase everyone's awareness. And then capstone 3 is kind of the culmination of that, where you do a video and a written presentation for that. I'll show the course calendar in the next slide, but just kind of an overview. Our next cohort starts July 13th, and our application window will open on November 1st. It's not currently open right now, but it's scheduled to open November 1st, and it'll run through January 15th. That's for submitting active applications. If you're waiting to hear from a dental or PA school during that time, that window, and you've completed the application, you're just waiting to hear, or if you've submitted towards the end of that cycle, sometimes it takes transcripts a little bit longer, but at least from accepting applications, June 15th would be the deadline. AT still, we operate on 10-week blocks. So the first 3 blocks are 10 weeks. The last spring block 2 is only a 6-week block, and you'll see that on the calendar coming up next. But you get a week off in between fall block 1, fall block 2. You get a couple weeks off in between fall block 2 and spring block 1 for the holiday. And then you get a week off between spring block 1 and spring block 2. Graduation is scheduled for June 4th, 2027, and it's in person in Mesa, Arizona. And I'm always excited to put this up here. Our first cohort, I think we had 35 students. We had 26 come to graduation. So we're always excited to see everybody in person and put the hood on. It's quite an accomplishment for you. So it's exciting to have. Our course calendar is, it's up on the website as well. So this is what you can expect. Fall block 1, 15 credits. Medical writing, medical physiology 1, biochemistry, micro, and either general anatomy or head and neck anatomy, depending on which concentration you're in. So very compressed, very aggressive by design. Fall block 2 has 13 credits, but 5 courses as well. And the reason why is December. By December, when you finish fall block 2, you will have 28 credits. So if you're actively applying to a PA or a dental school during that time, you can say, I've completed 28 credits. This is what I'm capable of. If I finish out the program, at least they have that ability to have the confidence in you. Spring block 1, 13 credits and 5 courses as well. And then spring block 2 doesn't seem like much, but it's a 4-credit capstone. And really it's shortened to 6 weeks because it ends in early May. And that's because there's a lot of programs that do start in the middle of May or June. And we wanted to be able to afford students the ability to start a program in the summer if they completed by early May. So. Our course structure. So with an online program, how do we assess you? How do we do assignments? Some courses have weekly quizzes. Some have a modular quiz. Some are only at the end of the block. Modules, meaning sometimes each week is a module, but sometimes a module might be 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Assignments, we have a lot of written discussion posts, and this is how we interact with our peers, and we learn a lot from our peers. I mentioned I was a microbiologist and I teach micro, and I can tell you in my course, I like to do case studies. So you get a case presentation, you have to research 2 case presentations, present them, and then your classmates have to read and respond to 3. So you interact with your classmates in that regard. And a lot of our other courses have the same type of interaction with those discussion posts. Some assignments are written and some are video. I mentioned that with capstone, but I know in physiology we do video, and in genetics we also do a video. We also have some group activities. So you'll actually break up into small groups. Genetics, ethics, and capstone do group activities. So You can mix up a little bit and you'll get to meet different people. And by groups, it's all done through Zoom. I mentioned on-time submissions and due dates. They're very, very important. We're rather strict about them, only because one of the key things is developing those good time management skills. As a PA educator, I noticed early on in the program, it's not like undergraduate, and students who are coming right from undergrad tended to struggle with trying to balance time and balance multiple courses with as much as learning is due. PA education is much like this analogy, and I'm sure dentistry is the same way. We say it's a lot like taking a drink from a fire hydrant. It's a lot of information coming at you in a short amount of time. So developing those good meeting deadlines, developing those good time management skills early in the program will only help you in the next phase. I mentioned as through video, we do a lot of interaction, and through Zoom, office hours with your faculty. They are either by appointment or structured, or both. I know from my course, I like to have weekly office hours that are posted, and I stagger them different days and different times throughout the week to accommodate everybody, but they're also by appointment only. I realize people work. I realize people are on different time zones. I'm on the East Coast. Last year, I had a student who was in Hawaii, and I think I met with her at 10 p.m. because it was after her work shift. It doesn't happen all the time, but I know your faculty are always more than happy to meet with you when it's convenient, and that includes weekends from time to time, just to make sure that you're doing well. And the key is reach out often if you're struggling, because that's the only way we can really help you. So I think that's one of the biggest feedback positives I take every semester that we get surveys from our students, is that they feel like they're engaged. In the micro course, I record weekly videos and send them out. So it's just a 20 or 30-minute video that talks about that week. And a lot of students feel like that gives them that in-person feeling. We do a weekly announcement posts to engage the students, and we do as much as we can in an asynchronous format to keep you as engaged as possible. So quick summary, those 28 credits I mentioned, Fall Block 1, Fall Block 2, really give you that ability to demonstrate sustained academic ability. Tired of me saying that, but really important. And from the admissions committee side, that's what they want to see. It's similar course load to what you'll see in PA school and dental school. So that's how our program, why it's compressed. That's why it doesn't lend itself to offering part-time or staggered starts. Just because you start a cohort in July, you'll finish in May at this time. So our faculty, so we have combined faculty right now who are in both PAs and non-PAs. So we have a lot of subject matter experts teaching in pharmacology, in anatomy, in biochemistry, in physiology. So we really picked faculty that have the strength and experience in those fields. Our faculty in medical ethics has a master's of jurisprudence in health law. So we really tried to have a well-rounded, well-balanced team that is delivering you. And we all now have extensive experience with online and asynchronous teaching. So who should apply? If you haven't kind of gotten a feeling at this point, really, if your GPA needs rehab, this is a great program because it can help with overall GPA as well as science GPA, a deeper understanding of upper level sciences. As I mentioned, as a non-traditional student, I had been out of the ballgame for quite a while. So something that if you haven't had some of these courses in a while in physiology, anatomy, it's a great refresher. The fact that we take micro to a different level is very helpful. In my course, I had some great feedback from students who only had general micro and didn't really understand it, feeling like they got a much better grasp of it, to those students who had several micro courses and felt like they took their understanding to a new level. And I think that's what we try and build in our courses, that we can really reach to everybody that we can. And really that bold time management skills is that's what we're really focused on trying to improve for students. You'll hear the term gap year a lot. I don't really like the gap year because you're not taking a year off. This is more of a bridge year because you'd be bridging from undergraduate or from your profession to taking your post-professional education. As far as prerequisites, we have very few prerequisites. Anatomy is a general anatomy is a prerequisite both because it's required for PA and dental school, but also because in 10 weeks, we can't teach a full anatomy course. What we're looking to do is try and build on learning and get away from the memorization that you might have had as undergraduates and really learn the anatomy concepts and how it ties into physiology and pathophysiology. English composition is kind of a must because we do a lot of writing in our program. With an online program, we really, discussion posts and written assessments are kind of the mainstay. So we really have to focus on writing. GPA, minimum GPA, and both overall and science of 2.5. Well, our first cohort, this was a 2.75. We lowered it to a 2.5 because what we're learning is we want to create opportunities for students to prove their academic worth to these programs. We have accepted and granted waivers for lower. If you've done some recent coursework, we'll be happy to consider that. So if you're below a 2.5, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to talk with you more about that. But I think with completing this program, as I mentioned, a number of programs, both dental and PA out there that will look at recent coursework, will still give you that opportunity to go on to the next level. I mentioned mission at the beginning of the talk, and you should really ask yourself, what is your mission? What are you looking to get out of your career and out of where you want to practice? Where do you see yourself practicing? Does it align with ATSU? Does it align with our master's program? Because again, if you're going on to another program, you really want to try and align your mission to ensure your success. At this time, we do offer guaranteed interviews. If you meet certain criteria, number one is you have to complete the program. So you have to actually graduate from the Master's of Biomedical Science program to qualify. You have to have a minimum of a 3.5 in our program. And you have to meet all the minimum prerequisite requirements of either the Arizona PA program or the ASDO dental program. So at this time, those are the only two programs that we have the agreement with the guaranteed interview. So it doesn't apply with any of the other programs that might be within the Arizona School of Health or the AT University. Financial aid. So financial aid is always a big concern. I don't like to go too much into this because financial aid is very, very highly individualized. There have been a lot of changes with regards to loan repayment and funding and the amounts that are available, much more than we can keep up with. And because it's really a focused topic, AT still has a number of financial aid advisors and counselors who are willing to meet with you one-on-one to talk about this. And I encourage you to reach out. This should be a concern for everybody and how you're going to pay for not only this, but pay for the next phase of your training. So meet with them and talk with them, and hopefully you can come up with a good plan. Quick disclaimer, as I mentioned, our curriculum was built with this kind of concentration in PA education and now focusing on kind of dental concentration, dental studies. The affiliation is really with the Arizona dental program at this time. And the only reason I mention that is because if you're looking at other programs outside of these two, you really want to contact them to make sure that our coursework will meet their prerequisite requirements. And that's just, you should do that anyway to make sure that you're fulfilling those prerequisites so you don't apply to a program and fall short on that. But I just really encourage everybody to make sure that the programs are, that our coursework would meet with their prerequisites. And the automatic interview, again, just really applies to the Arizona campuses, PA and dental school. Okay, so now some exciting data to share. And this is, I mentioned our third cohort that we're in now, entry point GPAs. And I really like to show this because this shows that we are around that 3.0 and lower as far as entry point GPA. So if your entry point is below, or if your GPA is below that, there's hope because on the next slide, we can see that the students have actually performed very well in our first two cohorts. We're in our third one right now. So even those students that were coming in with lower entry point GPAs did very well, 3.67, 3.63. If you have around a 2.75 undergraduate GPA, and you have the standard amount, 120-ish credits total, 60 credits in sciences, a 2.6 would pull you up to a 3.0. So, I kind of throw that 2.75 in there just because if you hit that 3.6 threshold, depending on how many credits you have, that calculation should come out to get you to that 3.0. But this is really good to see that they've succeeded. What does that equate to as far as PA school? Now, I mentioned we're going to just talk about PA interviews here because we're just creating the affiliation with the dental program. So next year, hopefully, we'll have good data to share with you on that as well. But so far, we have had 65 graduates through our first two cohorts, 35 in the first cohort, 30 in the second. Out of those 65, 55 of them had a GPA of 3.5 or higher. So a good majority of those students met that. Of those 55, 53 met the minimum requirements of the PA program. So that meant that they met the prerequisite requirements. And I know I'm throwing a lot of 3s and 5 numbers at you, but out of those 53, 35 of them actually applied to the Arizona School of Health Sciences PA program. All right, so 65 is our total graduation. 35 are the number that applied. And why that's important is because so far, 26 were offered admission. Okay, some of them have matriculated to Arizona School of Health Sciences. Some of them went to other programs, but 26 were offered admission to the Arizona School, and 7 of them from our recent cohort are still or have an interview scheduled. So that we expect that 26 to go up. And 2 other candidates who didn't apply got offers to other PA programs. So, we're really at 28 who have gotten into PA school. And what that turns into as an acceptance rate just to the Arizona school is almost 3/4 of the students who applied got accepted. And again, going up hopefully, and almost half, 43% of our overall. So out of that 65, we know that 43 got accepted. 43% we know. We think other ones have, but we haven't gotten responses to our surveys to prove that. We did actually have 2 students in those first 2 cohorts who withdrew during the course because they got accepted to PA school. So we consider that a success as well, and that's why I put it on here, because that's our goal, is to get you into your next phase that you want to get into. We like to see you graduate, but if you get to the program that you want, we're happy to get you transitioned into that program as well. So very excited for those students. So that's kind of exciting data. That just kind of came out this week, and we're very happy about that. And ultimately, we want to see everybody wearing that white coat. So I mentioned opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. That's what this program helps. Hopefully, helps for you to determine of those students who, that have not gotten into PA school. We know that from the first cohort, 1 got into the next round over. A few students have gone through our program and decided PA wasn't really what they wanted. 1 went into pharmacology, 1 went into nursing, and what that means is they get a master's degree and they learn before they get into an expensive post-professional program. This isn't really what they wanted to do. So again, that we consider to be success in our program outcomes. Okay, I've done enough talking, so I'm going to open this up to questions. Here's some contact information. If you've been to our website, if you haven't, please visit. You're welcome to reach out to me or Sarah or Joe if you have specific admissions questions through the process. You are welcome to unmute if you would like and ask a question, or you can put it in the chat and Sarah can read it for you.
Dr. DePalma, there aren't any questions yet, but I do know we have some that are willing to ask on camera.
Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Terry Lynn. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So I'm going for dental school.
Okay.
Just a couple questions. So I live here in near Mesa. With being part of the program, would we have access to the campus, to go to their library or any of their study areas?
Yeah, I believe so, but we would probably need to arrange for an ID badge because we don't give ID badges to our online students since most of them are not. But that is certainly something that we could talk with campus security and the library. I'm sure library services would be fine with that. But That's a good question. It's actually in 3 cohorts, you're the first one that's asked that.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. And then second, as far as like, I know you mentioned, just kind of reach out, be transparent with your instructors for courses. Do you guys provide like tutors? Or would
We
that be?
don't, yeah, we don't have tutors because of how compressed and how quickly the program works. AT still, as a general rule, doesn't have tutors available for online programs.
Mhm.
But I will say, we try and keep our cohort sizes down to our class size to about 25. So if you're struggling in a particular area, and this is why I like to have my kind of standard weekly office hours, because I'll have 2 or 3 students come in, one will ask a question and I'll answer it, and they'll say, oh, I had that question too. I just didn't realize I needed that. So, taking advantage of office hours and meeting with your instructors will really help. There's a lot of information here, but we've really tried not to just overload you with a lot of meaningless stuff. It's kind of stuff to really help with the building blocks. If you find that there's a topic or an
Yeah.
area that you're struggling with, then we can certainly kind of steer you in a way, maybe with another student who might have a better grasp or concept of that.
Okay. And then lastly, where was I? Oh my God, I just lost my train of thought when you were talking. Yeah, if it comes back to me, I'll ask. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for the question. Sorry, I tend to ramble a little bit, so I might have made you lose that train of thought, but
No, it's okay. Oh,
Dr. DePalma, can you speak to class size compared to section size compared to cohort size?
Yeah. So I did say cohort, and our cohorts start every July. Right now, we have 46 students, and we split that up into 2 sections. We don't like our sections to go more than 25 students. If we hit 26, that's fine, but that's for our general courses. And then our capstone courses, we cap at 20 students. And we don't really have a maximum on the number of students that we'll take. So if we hit 60 students, then we'll open up a 3rd section and just divide them up. So there may be, times where you have 20 students or 19 students. We try and keep it a little more intimate so the sections stay a little bit smaller. So we'll have micro section 1, section 2, section 3. And then what happens is when you go to the next cohort, we mix things up a little bit. So you may have a few of your classmates who are the same, and you'll have some new classmates in from another section. So you get experience from them. I don't put our demographics on here, but if I did, age is what shocked me the most. We have students who are 21, 22 years old up to 57. And our median age is about 26, 27 years old. And I love that because that brings a lot of difference. We learn from our peers just as much as we do from our instructors. So you're learning from your classmates who live in different communities than you did, that live in different times than you. So having that exposure to mix cohorts up like that is very beneficial. Did that answer your question, or did I just ramble on and lose it too much?
No, that absolutely answered it.
Okay, good.
Does anybody else have any questions in the chat? If you'd like me to answer them or not answer them, but ask them for you. Or you're welcome to ask on camera.
Hi, I had a question regarding the tuition fees. I was reviewing them and I saw that there was one mentioning a laptop, but it said just for new students. So does that only apply to new students that need to purchase one? Or is it included in the fees?
No, it's not included in the fees. They say laptop with minimal standards. It's because it's an online program. You need to have a computer. If you have a desktop, that would work just fine. But they're not provided by the university. If they're, I think they may have some financial hardships that probably have some pretty strict policies. But if you do not have a laptop, there may be something through like a grant funding. I'm kind of just speaking from another university that I used to work with, but that's something we can explore if that's a concern.
Thank you.
Sure. That's a good point. With laptops, you do have to have reliable internet and wireless as well, just because, or Wi-Fi, because everything is submitted online. So sometimes when you open up a quiz, we've had that occasional. I'm in South Florida, so I can tell you from being through a few hurricanes, when the power goes out and you have no idea when it's coming back on, you're kind of lost. And if it's in the middle of a quiz, it's like, oh boy, what do I do now? We'll work with you. Don't worry about that.
I have another question. So
Sure.
with the program ending like in May, how soon do final grades / GPA get posted?
Yeah, so grades get entered that week, or right around that week. The block doesn't officially end until June, so grades are not officially posted until the block end, that full 10 weeks. However, if you need a letter, enrollment services can provide a letter of completion with your final GPA and transcripts, things like that, to get you through. Because we had that happen this past year where a student got accepted and started in the middle of May and needed final transcripts or needed a letter by that point. So that's something that they can provide for you.
Okay, so just because again, I'm going for dental and
Mhm.
application cycle generally ends November 15th. So would it just be for me, should I just wait until the next application cycle, so 2027 to apply, or can we do an academic update? Like, do you know how dental works? I could ask them as well, but
Scott, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Is that something that you can speak to, or?
Yeah, can you repeat that, Carolyn? You're talking about like if you could complete and make, would you still be able to apply in that cycle?
well, that's what I was asking because I got information that the program was going to be January to October, but Sarah clarified that for me. So since it's going to be the next class start will be June 26th to May 27, when should I put in my application that's going to include this program? Do I put in for 26 and will it be held for whatever reason, or do I just have to wait until 2027 to apply?
Yeah, so if you were to apply in 26, we'll be full by if you apply June 26, we'll be full by that fall of 2026. So you would want to apply in June 2027 with your post with your master's degree grades.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Sorry, I have one more question.
No, please. That's why we're here.
Since there's 5 courses in each block, would the exams be back to back for every class? Like, let's say for the 5 classes in a third week, you have an exam for each of them?
Yeah, not every. I mean, there will be some weeks where you might have 2 or 3 quizzes. We try not to have some major due like in every class at the same time. Some classes have like a weekly quiz that's only 10 questions or 25 questions. They're kind of a little bit more, they're smaller. They're all due by Sunday, so you have like the entire week to get through that material and then take it whenever it's convenient. So if you happen to have 2 quizzes or 3 quizzes due on that Sunday, you could do 1 or 2 Saturday, Sunday, that kind of thing to balance out. That's why we kind of assign them on Mondays for Sunday due dates so you can balance your time better. Some of the quizzes that have almost, I think all of them are set to be due on Sunday of the week that they're assigned, but Some of them are a little bit larger where they might be 75 question quizzes but you only have 2 or 3 of those for that course. It's not like you'll have a weekly 75 question quiz. So it'll be balanced where you're not taking quizzes every week for that particular course.
Okay, and I know that you mentioned for some courses that the exams would be at the end, or some in the middle. Is that correct?
Yeah, I like immunology there's either 1 or 2 exams throughout I think there's 2 kind of midterm, so to speak, and then 2 quizzes, and then 1 final, which is a comprehensive at the end of the 10 weeks that would be due week 10. So each course is a little bit different. And again, by design, we didn't want to have every course having a weekly quiz, and we didn't want everyone having like a midterm that was due at week 5. And then you have 5 quizzes and 5 finals due. So we tried to balance it out so there's a little bit of a spread over when the quizzes are due.
Thank you.
Yeah, a good question. Some of the feedback we've gotten from students is there's definitely some weeks that are a little bit more intense with what's due. And then there's other weeks where there's not as much due and you have a little bit more breathing room. So I think it's should hopefully balance out at the end of the course. Great. Any other questions?
I'm not seeing any in the chat, sir.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining. And please, if you keep our emails, and if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out anytime. That's what we're here for.